Good morning, traders. Today is Thursday, August 18th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, well, first things first, let's start with looking at the overnight inventory. The overnight inventory last night was rotational. They basically just bounced around inside today's range. We are opening, just a little bit above where we closed yesterday. So that's a very, very, tiny bit that the overnight inventory is net long, but it's not really anything to get too worried about. So that basically means the market can start moving first thing in the morning either direction, but the highest probability is chop. In particular, with the fact that we're inside the previous day's range and the previous day's value area, the odds that the market is just going to kind of grind around this morning are very high. Okay, so let's just take a second, since we don't have to rush into a trade first thing in the morning, and let's just step back and take a look at the daily and kind of try to figure out what we're dealing with here. So yesterday, the pullback on the daily was the end of the trend on the daily. So that increases the odds that we're going to get balance. Excess leads to balance. There's two ways that we could balance off the excess. One way, we pull back with price, looking for support at a lower level, and then we take off from there. The other way is we just balance sideways using time. So we maybe spend a couple of days bouncing around in a tight range here, and then we break out of that range either up or down from there. So today, that's really going to be the focus. Which is it? Are we balancing with time or are we balancing with price? Just some quick references I want to make here looking at the daily. I know there's a lot on this chart and it gets a little bit confusing. Above us, this blue line is the 200 daily simple moving average. That is acting as resistance at the moment. We also have the downtrend from the highs, okay? The candlestick downtrend, that is also acting as resistance. And then we have the 618 above us, which is often the end. If a move is going to be like a dead cat bounce and continue lower, the 618 is often where it runs out of steam and turns around and heads back down. So that's not technically resistance, but it could be if we get there and then run out of momentum. So we got a lot of resistance above us on the daily. And below us, we have this trend line from the previous balance that we broke out of creating this excess. We got that right here. That would come into play probably around 42.50. That could act as potential support if we pull back with price. But more likely, I think we're looking for a larger pullback towards the 4,200 area to bounce from there. Okay? That will also be where, at the time, the 50 moving average will be for support. And when we zoom out on the market profile, we see that there's also some weakness down there around 4,200 that needs repair. So essentially, that's our excess. The market is either going to balance it off by spending a couple of days rotating around in here, or it's likely to pull back down to here looking for support in that area. So what happens at today's lows is really important. Or sorry, what happens at yesterday's low is going to be really important. Which way the chop breaks. If it breaks to the upside, so the first resistance is going to be this node just above where price is right now, around 42.81. And the support is going to be this node down here, around 42.70. So we expect the chop to grind between those two. If they're able to get above this node, find some support, I would target testing the overnight high. Can they get up there and test that high? Once they get up there, do they run out of steam and pull back down? If not, if they find support up there, you look to test yesterday's high. Once we get up to yesterday's high, I would be looking for resistance. As if this is going to be a balance area, we're likely to run out of steam up there and start heading back down. So above, I would be bullish if we found support at the overnight high to get to yesterday's high, but I would be cautious above there looking for resistance. And then on the way down, if the chop breaks to the downside, gets through this support right here, the target is testing the overnight low, Same thing as with the overnight high. If we get down there and that's not enough to turn around and head back up, then we test yesterday's low. If we get below yesterday's low and we come back up and we get resistance at yesterday's low, that would be very, very bearish. That would be the signal to us that they're trying to repair the excess. They're trying to digest the excess using price. And that is when the weakness down near 4,200 comes into play. So yesterday's low will be very important. They can dip below there. Sure, that's fine. We're cool with that. But as long as they come right back up. If they start to get resistance there, they are heading lower. And as far as what to expect at the highs, is it possible the market just needed one day to cool off and now it's going to break out and head back up? Sure, it's possible. But that seems less likely to me than getting resistance up here and then just having a rotational day. So let's see what happens. Market opens in 1 minute and we are expecting chop. Novice trader, good morning, everyone. With value lower, rotation or lower is what I'm leaning as of this morning. Yes, sir. Balance with time or balance with price. The market is open. Let the chop begin. Got 148 people hanging out. What up, everyone? If you don't mind pushing that thumbs up, I sure would appreciate it. That thumbs up is your way of talking to YouTube and telling YouTube, you know what, YouTube? I like this. I like me some market profile. I like me some two-way auction. I like me some pirate traders. And when you tell YouTube what you like, it will give you more of what you like. So smash that thumbs up button. So once again, being the fact that the overnight inventory was very neutral, We opened today, literally like a point from where we closed yesterday. So very neutral. That's why we opened right on the zero line. So the nice thing about that is it's easy to tell who's taking the first stab at the market here. The buyers. And when we pass back through that zero line, we'll know that the buyers are giving up and the sellers are taking a poke. We have good taper on the high, but I don't like the 11 contracts. That increases the odds there's more business to be done up here. So we're looking for support and a chop back up. All right, that A period low is now considered weak because it stopped right on a weak reference from yesterday. So that increases the odds. We got to push back down there, get some more two-sided trade. How very choppy of the market to do. Good morning, chillin' with Dylan, John Lash, Caffeine, Blue Shirt, Brian, David Glass in the house, Jeremy Jones, Ederson, Scoob, Philip, Jeremy, R.K. Leon, The Shaw, WSS, T-Wark, Nap, J Trader, Jack Spratt, Novice Trader, John George, Fighter Pilot, and Tom 1200. Welcome. Raphael, can I say market is creating liquidity? Kind of, yeah. Chop is indecision, right? It's like nobody knows which way the market's going to go yet. So in a way, it's the market building up a position to break one way or another. We just don't know which direction until it does. Arthur, good morning to you. Chirp, welcome. Captain Axelrod in the house. What's up, dude? Choppin' Fan is here. Good morning. Good morning. Asmi, welcome. NQ getting closer to the overnight low. Oh, let's take a look at the Q. Okay, so NQ, same as the ES. Yesterday is a sign of the momentum is over. You actually kind of had it the day before, really, but it wasn't crystal clear. So yesterday was crystal clear. Momentum to the upside is over. So you're looking for balance. Are we just going to rotate sideways, or do we need to pull back with price? The first target on a pullback from price would be 13,285. So if they push below yesterday's low and they find resistance there, that's where you'd want to target 13,285-ish. If they can get above the overnight high, exact same thing as the ES. If they can get above the overnight high, target yesterday's high. If they can get above yesterday's high, though, I would stay in that until like 13,645. Look for resistance there. That's where the market will start to chop if it's going to grind around. So yeah, treat it exactly like the ES. Chop until we break the overnight high or low. I'm feeling chop, chop, chop. Yeah. All right, ES has got good taper on the low now, and we repaired that weakness. That's a little bit bullish. Doesn't mean it'll be the low of the day, just that if it was, it would be good. John Lash says, I might be wrong, but I think the NQ is going to test the overnight high soon. Looks like it's getting support on a trend line. Well, that will be bullish. You got a bit of resistance to get through on the way, though. Keep in mind that all night long, we just bounced around inside this range. Bounced and bounced and bounced. No reason to think that has to instantly end here. So they got to get through this big node between like 13.5 and 13.520. Then we can talk about the overnight high. Until then, chop, baby. Andrew, if you wait for a break of the high or the low, then you're buying the high or the low. No, sir. You're buying the support after the break, right? So you don't, let's say the market pushes up to the overnight high. You don't go long right here. That would be silly because it could just come right back down. You wait for the support. So the market pushes above there, comes back down, and then when it's getting support, you buy that. And then you can have a nice tight stop, because you're using the overnight high as your reference for support. And so then it's a less risky trade, and you're getting in right at the beginning of a new trend. Right as the buyers are stepping in. You're joining the party. Whereas getting long anywhere else in here is a guess. I mean, down here is okay. You're buying support in chop, but I would only buy that for, a rotation back up to the open, like a very quick little trade. Whereas this trade, you may be able to get long and stay long all day if the market keeps trending higher. Barbecue. I feel like every day lately we trade one way out of the opening range for a while up or down. Whatever way we break, it doesn't go through the other side. You mean the other side of the initial balance? Oh, first minute. Oh, okay, yeah. You're playing on a totally different field. Gotcha. Some people do 30 seconds. Boy, they must be quick thinkers. I need to take it much slower than that. I'm worried about what the market's going to do over the first hour. Rocket, what's up, dude? Been a minute. Home sales at 10. Yeah, that number's going to be low. Jeremy, I know a lady that kills it on a 15-second chart. Insane. Ugh, no, not for me. No, thank you. No way. To me, choosing to trade at that kind of time frame is like choosing to be like an air traffic controller. It's like the second you start trading, stress on all day. Jeremy, it's a messy setup too. I have found some people like that. It's strange how people are different. Me, I like simplicity. The least things I could be looking at, the slowest time frame possible, that's me. But some people, the busier their charts are, the better it is for them. Like they need the extra stimulation. And those are also the people that tend to prefer scalping. They need the instant gratification. Mike says most of us, I guess you're volunteering to that you're one of those. You're a 15-second charter. Most of us only trade for the first hour or two, maybe. Yeah, that's true. I guess that's the upside. Done with work in an hour. Rockets like that. All right. Well, the ticks are saying support. The chop continues. The endless morning chop. Kassane says, I trade full time, and I'm often debating if trading is still as stressful as in the beginning, but I got used to it, or it isn't that stressful anymore because you have a lot of things figured out. Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed too. I was talking about this yesterday, actually. It's like when I was first trading, I thought that trading was about like learning how to trade. And once I learned how to trade, then I'm good. Then like for the rest of my life, it'll just be an easy job. I show up every day and I do my job and I trade. And I have since come to realize that it's not like that. It's much more similar to being like a surgeon, where like, sure, you know how to perform the surgery. You've done it before, but anything could happen at any moment. So you must always be on edge every day. You never get a day off. It's like high pressure. Anything can happen at any moment. And you either love that or you don't. David Cooper. Try binary Forex options on the 5-minute contract. They exist. It's pure adrenalized heartbreak. I love it. John. Uh. Andrew, I have a great track record on the crude oil using volume profile, and I can see the targets clearly. But when I'm in it, I can't seem to hold on. So I must lose conviction or my gonads aren't big enough. Well, let's hope it's not a medical issue. I should see a doctor. No, I mean, it's one of those things you have to learn discipline. Discipline in all things in trading. Discipline with your emotions. Discipline with your entries, waiting for that perfect entry. And then discipline with taking profits. And so it's just something you must exercise. You must force yourself to wait for it to get to your take profit. And the more you do, the better you'll get at it. You'll get used to being patient. You'll develop that voice in your head that says, shut up, Andrew. Don't take profits. Just wait. It's going. It'll get there. You know, like you start to develop that voice in your head and it gets easier. Just one at the moment. Yeah, that's a trick, you know. If you trade with multiple contracts, taking profits with one and then holding the other one as a runner, that's one way to manage that feeling of wanting to take profits. No junk. Does OPEX have any effect on today and tomorrow? Is it OPEX? Is it the options rollover? Is it the monthlies? If it's the monthlies, it can have an effect. It is the monthlies. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, sometimes that causes a market to be in a very tight range. They don't like the market running around while they're unwinding one thing and building another. But you know, it's funny. I feel like every time I say that, I go like, "Oh, it's options expiry. It's going to be a slow day." Like that's the day that we have a crazy move and it trends all day or something. So, yeah, I have noticed in the past OPEX days cause the market to be a little more boring, a little more rotational, tighter ranges. They don't have as big a range. You would think too, man, it would be tough if you were a money manager and you're looking forward today at what to expect over the next month. We're like at such a pivotal resistance point for the market. There's going to be a lot of two-sided trade, a lot of differences of opinion. Some people think we're heading to the moon, and some people will think we're about to crash and burn. All right, we got a poor low here, increasing the odds of a repair. There's the repair. All right, we're starting to get some bearish momentum. Ticks trending down, pushing into the last support we've got here. If this breaks, we're testing that overnight low, and that would be bearish. So buyers, this is your chance. Ivan, my best trading seems to come under extreme duress. Say I'm long 4 or 5 ES and 8 NQ contracts, and my internet goes out because I'm in a small town. In the middle of the day is the best time for a system update because of a power outage. I fought my way back from negative 5,000 days, but I struggled to get over 1,000 on a normal day. Well, then you know your problem 100% is psychology and not market analysis. Yeah, it sounds like you need a fire under your ass to succeed. You need like a boss. You would be good at a prop firm if you had to talk to your boss every night and talk about your performance that day. Are you married? Start making your wife break down your performance every day. Give you some extra pressure. Actual home sales, 4.81 million. Forecast, 4.87. Oh, no. Oh, no. Fraction of a percentage off. Okay, so pulling the value area right up against the low of the day like this is a little bit bearish to see, as it's a sign the market needs a little more excess to the downside here. If they're able to find support and get back up to the opening price, they can pull it back up. But as of now, that's a little bit bearish. Ivan, her head would explode seeing negative 5,000. That's what I'm saying. So that day you'd be like, fuck, I gotta win this back. And on the other side of it, think about how happy she'd be on the day it says plus 5,000. Might be a reward in it for you. Okay, resistance at the zero line. A little bit bearish. If the chop is to continue, they should at the very least be able to come up and test that halfback. All right. Well, couldn't get back to the halfback. Ticks got smacked down. I would say I am bearish to try to test that overnight low. And I remain bearish below the halfback. So if we pull back above 42.72, then I'm back to expecting chop. But for now, it feels like they want to test that overnight low. We got value pushing right up against the low of the day. And like I said, couldn't even get back to halfback in a chop zone. That's a when what should happens doesn't. That points down. Thank you for the sub, Peter. Welcome. Happy to have you. Scooball saying chop. You think this resistance is going to break? I don't know, mate. John. I mean, trading, I have no issues with stops. My wife beating me? Well, that's a whole other story. I'm waiting for the book club meeting to discuss more. Great, great, great. Can't wait. This is, by the way, this is a book club, not group therapy session. Just want to clarify that. Book club, not group therapy. Chilling with Dylan. This isn't like Al-Anon for traders. It's actually not a bad idea. A support group we can all get together and talk about our day of trading. I did it again, guys. I FOMO'd in. I knew I should have waited for support, but I saw that potential breakout and that greed in me. I just had to get long. It's okay, Jim. You'll do better tomorrow. Well, Scuba, I think you might be right on this one. I think it might still be chop. I would describe it as bearish chop, though. But they are holding the support. All right, well, I'm back to neutral. These ticks are reading as rotation, not as bearish. So I am now back to neutral. They will get me bearish once again if we get below what is currently the B period low. But until then, I expect chop. The buyers ain't done gived up yet. $777. Value trading lower. I mean, inside, yeah, it's inside the previous day's range. And interestingly, we just pulled it up from the low of the day. Remember, it was more bearish when it was butting up against that low. But now that we've been able to pull it away, it's neutral again. Inside the previous day's range, inside the previous day's value area, we've got ourselves some chop. So we're now heading up to look for some resistance. 4280, 4283, or 4287. Scooball saying, I assume balance area low there. Ooh, very interesting. Getting your call in early. I like it. See, that's why I would have liked to have just dipped down and tested those lows. Book, and then come back up. Because then it would feel like a balance area low. But you could be right. Maybe the overnight was the test. Let's see how we break out of the chop. Giles, wasn't yesterday a test of the low? Good taper. Well, we don't know yet, right? So remember, there's two ways to balance off excess. We can either do it with time, right? That's the excess. We can either balance it off with time or we can balance it off with price, okay? We don't yet know which we're doing. If we are, in fact, balancing it off with time, then yeah, we would be looking for where did the market find support? So it would, if the market turns around and heads back up today, well, then we know something in here is the value area low. The balance area low. And we won't know for sure until we get a retest. So we got to push up, test the high, come back down, and then the next round, then we can be sure where the low is. Which is why I was just saying to Screwball a second ago, I wish we would have done that today. I wish we would have just poked down and then come back up. Because then we would know for sure that's a balance area low. And that would give me so much more confidence to assume we're going long up towards the highs. But right now, I have no clue. And this is just chop. So still waiting for more information. Screwball. Maybe swing traders FOMO'd in. You mean they're FOMOing right now? That doesn't sound like swing traders. Those ones are the most patient of hands. Screwball, but there was liquidation after news with nice retrace. Yeah, you're absolutely right. My point is, if you're right, I'll know when we break out of the chop. Right now, I'm happy with saying I don't know that for sure. Who knows? I would literally call this market 50-50 right now. 50% it could go up, 50% it could go down. If it goes up, then you'll be right. Andrew, the old Fafa. Yeah, it's the worst, man. I'm going to knock on wood here, but there is a chance we could just have a rotational day inside the overnight range. It would not be unheard of. Screwball, but that behavior let everyone get short there? Yes, sir. I agree with you. I'm saying if that's what they just did, if they just fooled me and the rest of the market to thinking it was going to go lower so they could get us short and then take the market higher today, I'm all for it. I just can't trust it until I have confirmation, which is breaking out of the chop. Then I will know your narrative is correct. Otherwise, there may have just been a little liquidation break. Some short-term traders got in. They're taking profits right now, and the market will come right back down. You know, we don't know yet. I'm also just noticing that we have all three of the POCs almost perfectly lined up here. POC from yesterday, overnight, and today. That's a very neutral signal. It's a signal that this magnet that is 4274 is very strong. Skewball, it's happening in balance areas often, that chop zone. I hear you, brother. I know what's going on in your head. You want to buy this market for a rotation back up towards yesterday's high. I know you do. It's a great call. It's just a little too early to be sure. All right, guys, so with the printing of the C period here, the market has actually given us a pretty easy way to look at it moving forward today. Whichever way it breaks the initial balance, it's probably likely to get continuation in that direction. So whether they break the A period high or they break the B period low, whichever they break first, the market's likely to try to make a move in that direction. You know to pay close attention if it's a move down to that overnight low and if it's a move up to that overnight high. Can they get below and find resistance? Can they get above and find support? If they do not, if they get below and they do not find resistance and they pull back in, or they get above and they do not find support, they pull back in, expect something that looks a lot like this. The market just kind of rotating around, going nowhere all day. Spending a lot of time right around this area in the 4270s. But if the market can get above or below that overnight low, look for continuation in that direction to yesterday's higher low. So if we get above the overnight high and find support, look to test yesterday's high, monitor for continuation higher from there. If we get below the overnight low, look to test yesterday's low. If you get resistance there, then things get very interesting to the downside. But in the middle, the market will chop. With that, I bid you farewell. I wish you a happy Thursday, and I will see you here tomorrow morning. Members of the brigade, let's ride.